Hi everyone. Okay, apologies for the waste of time. I kind of just got here, so I didn't really have time to set up report for me. So, but hi everyone, thank you for attending my session. So, the topic for this session is do not ask me for coffee, I'm a teapot. And I remember like the first time I said like the topic across, like the first question I got was explain. Because I sent it to Geek and he just said explain. So like I know like it's not a very detailed topic and intentionally left it so thank you for like taking the chance to still come here even though the topic didn't really say much about what to expect. So today we are going to talk about something very interesting, right? So we are going to talk about a status code that is a popular that many people do not know, but that's just like one of the most interesting and one of the most law-filled status code that we have. So I think I also actually saw some people like wearing like t-shirts that actually had this status because I was really excited to see that. So we're going to be talking about status code 418. Yes, status code 418. I know like a lot of us are familiar with like 500, 404, 200, right? But I bet like rest of us, anyone who has heard of like 418 before today, no one suits coming. So we're going to be talking about that. But yeah, before we start, just a quick introduction. My name is Olayinka. I'm a student of Unilag, study computer engineering, study software engineering, and I'm also like the lead of GDGOC, that's the Good Developer Group on campus at Unilag. So yeah, we can get started. Next slide, please. Okay, so has anyone ever tried, does anyone even like coffee, first of all? Okay, so I know it's one. And has anyone ever tried to like make coffee with a teapot before? You have? How did that go?
Well, someone did make it for me. I was just present. Someone made it present.
I'm sure that didn't go well. I am sure that didn't go well. So basically, HTTP 418 is a client response error, which basically means that you are trying to do something that your server or your API does not have, right? You're trying to ask your API to do something that it doesn't know how to do. Just like trying to ask a teapot to make a coffee, to brew a coffee for you, like that wouldn't work. That would be an absolute disaster. So, so that is basically the idea of the topic. So before we go into it and like why it's actually important, like and the core reason why we are actually like introducing this, I kind of also wanted to like give like some backstory as to like the origin of this status code in the first place. So next slide, please. Okay. So this status code is part of the hypertext coffee protocol, or something like that. Let me confirm. Yes, hypertext coffee protocol. So in 1998, the RFC 2324, so we're kind of like the body and that kind of like defines all the different like internet protocols, networking protocols that we have. They came up with a new like set of protocols it was actually as a joke. So it was like a coffee protocol. So they kind of had like different, so you know like the way we have different methods in HTTPS. So you have your get, you have your post, etc. Exactly. So they came up with, next slide please. So they came up with, next slide. Yep. So they came up with their own methods, right? So they kind of like came up with this new protocol as a joke, which to me is kind of fascinating because like how would you sit down as a body, like to make up a whole set of protocols, like define the purpose, define the methods and everything just as a joke. Like, I don't know, but software engineers are very fascinating creatures. So they came up with like this protocol and they said, like if you wanted to get like coffee over the internet, so they have the three methods, the brew, the get, and the prep. So this was kind of like the origin. It was just kind of like a like an April Fool's joke. It wasn't like supposed to be anything too serious. But next slide, please. And then something that came with this protocol was a status code called 418. And basically, it's just like, just like every other status code that you have, 500 bits worth. Sorry, something went wrong with the server. 404, the page you're trying to find is not available, right? So this 418 basically means any attempt to group copy with a Teapot should result in the error code 418 because I'm a Teapot. And basically, in layman language, what this basically means is that the client is sending a request to the server trying to do something, which is a valid thing to do, just that your API does not have the ability or the capacity to do that thing, right? So next slide, please. And basically, like all this, like now, like I'm sure, like everyone basically, like always, why are you telling us this? Like, why are you giving us all this pep talk about this joke that was made up some time ago? And basically, sorry, next slide. Yes. Basically, I just like wanted to take like something hidden, like something that we could all make do with the code in our day-to-day, which is that clear, specific, helpful error messages are crucial. Next slide, please. So, I'm sure like everyone like interacts with like API, especially like third-party APIs, and I'm sure like everyone has come like across a situation where like you're trying to like send a request to the API, and the API is just telling you, oh, error 500 or something like very generic, right? Like that you don't actually know like what is the problem, like what exactly am I doing wrong, what am I going wrong? So most of the time, like when we build APIs, we just kind of like slap very generic errors back to the users, right? So we kind of just tell them something went wrong, tell them error 500, we tell them failed, etc. Like very generic errors. And I'm here today to plead that please do not do that anymore. Try to like, and I think like that is the beauty, that is what 418 is trying to tell us, right? 418 is trying to say, instead of just like telling your users, I mean, you could have just told your user, I can't do that. But like instead of just saying, oh, don't ask me for coffee, it tells you, like it gives you more information. It tells you like the exact reason why it is not able to do that, right? It didn't just tell you like unable to do that or unable to process requests. It told you exactly the reason. It told you what you are trying to do and why it is not able to do that. And basically that is the like core message that I want us to take away. Like instead of like, giving like all of these very generic bad errors, like all of like bad, quote unquote, bad errors to your user, you could try to be, learn something from 418 and try to be very specific with the errors that you are giving, like invalid API key, resources not found, insufficient permissions, etc., etc. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned, your API has something, like your API is defined, it's created, like you have like some defined purposes and some defined functions that your API is able to handle. Next slide, please. And whenever like users try to make like requests that are not supported by your API, right? So instead of just like slapping back very generic errors, right, you should try to clearly state its limitations. And I think like that was kind of like the thinking process, like when this like whole joke protocol was created. It was to encourage and to lead to like developers to kind of prioritize good communication to the users of your API, right? So next slide, please. So basically, I'm going to cover 3 principles that I basically like wanted us to learn from like 418 and kind of like to keep in mind whenever you are creating and you're building your API endpoints. And the first principle is clear documentation, and I think like this is a no-brainer. Like whenever you're creating like your API, you want to ensure that everything is well documented for like users to be able to use them very well. And you also like want very well defined endpoint. So you want each endpoint to have a very clear purpose. And you want robust validation. So you want to tell the user exactly why their input is wrong. Don't just crash. Don't just say error 404, error 500, I mean. Don't just say error 500. Don't just say 400 bad requests. Like try to give as much information as possible to your users, because most of the time, like what ends up happening is, especially if it's like a third-party API, these users get frustrated and they just decide, oh, you know what, I'm just going to opt for another competitor's API at the end of the day on XID. So basically, to put together everything that we've kind of covered today in this very short session, XID, be very specific with your status codes. Don't just like slap 500 or 400 back to your users. Provide context. Tell them what went wrong. Tell them why you went wrong. Tell them what did you want if they are the one doing something wrong. Tell them why they did it wrong. Suggest solutions. This is a bit of a reach, but if you can, please do document everything and test your errors. Next slide, please. So when to be a Teapot and when not to. This is kind of so I know that we kind of blend like the error today, like there's something called status code 418, or I'm going to plead that you should please not use that. The whole purpose of like introducing the status code is just like introduce you to give you like some lore, give you like some fun story behind it, and basically just kind of give you the core message, which is like, communicate clearly to your users, use very specific status code. But next slide, please. You do not want to use it for production level scenarios, because like it says, it's just like, error for one is I'm the Teapot. I can't read copy. Like you don't want to confuse your users, especially people that do not know the status code. But basically, it's just like a very fun thing to, like if you wanted to like have like internal team jokes. So for example, I think Google has this endpoint called google.com/Teapot. Yeah, I think there's this endpoint, so you can check it out, where they basically like implemented like return back like this status code for people that want to see it. And I think that there are like a couple of like companies and websites that have done something fun around the lore of the status code. But just like this meant, the status code is meant to only be used in very playful scenarios. Please do not use it in production. The major thing to take away, next slide please, from this status code is to imbibe like proper, clear, concise, effective communication in your APIs, and not just like slap or something went wrong to your user. Actually tell them like, why did this go wrong? Like, don't just tell them I can't brew coffee. Tell them I can't brew coffee because I'm a Teapot. Right, so next slide please. And yeah, so just some more key takeaways. Next slide please. Thank you so much. This was very short because this was meant to be a lightning talk, but it's putting like my topic very last minute, and I could only get like a slot with another session. But thank you so much everyone for coming. Once again, my name is Olayinka. Today on our social media.
Can you give her a round of applause? That's amazing. Thank you so much. At least now I know that I'm not supposed to use, I was going to use it. Anyway,